thousands of people have mysteriously vanished in America's wilderness. Join us as we dive into the deep end of the unexplainable and try to piece together what happened. You are listening to Locations Unknown.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Locations Unknown. I'm your co-host, Joe Irado, and with me, as always, is a guy who would never hit Captain Jack Sparrow, Mike Vandebogard.
Thank you.
Nice quick save on the mic there. You
Joe.
need that.
Yeah, I forgot we were recording, so I didn't have the microphone in front of me. Thank you to all of the loyal listeners for tuning in, and just a couple quick announcements here, just a few Patreon shout-outs. Matt Alaski and Shelby Snow, thank you so much for supporting the show. Joe and I have decided that we really want to go to CrimeCon next year, so every bit of help that we get from you guys will get us one step closer to going and mingling with...
Yeah, we're going to literally walk, so each dollar is a step.
Yeah. So, this is going to be an interesting little episode. We're giving you 4 different case updates on cases we've already covered. And we actually have clips of the theories we gave. One of the episodes was our second episode we did. We sound so young. And then we're going to actually go through the updates and what actually happened, and you guys be the judge of how accurate we were with our theories. And I obviously left out some of our, off the rails stuff.
Yes.
Like rock people and
aliens. We can just focus on the real stuff.
Yeah, so...
So if you're watching the stream, you saw maybe we've been a little flustered in the beginning. I was in Chicago all week with the family and for work, and I'm going to tell this story because it's a funny story, and I'll try and keep it short. So Mike, I literally get back from Chicago. We drove, and we had scheduled this time to record, and Mike was showing up about a half hour after I got home. More than enough time for me to kind of settle in, get the studio ready, so we can record. I walk into my garage to see how our pet ducks are doing, which we put out a lot of food and water while we were going to be gone for a day. And they're nowhere to be found. And my garage is covered in duck poop. The fridge door is open. The milk jugs are like smashed open. And there's a crack in my door. I find out my ducks got into the house and were they had enough food and water in the garage. They were just looking. I think they might have got in and got lost in the house and couldn't find their way back because they were just pooping all over my house trying to find food and water.
It was pretty funny.
It was really ridiculous.
The ducks are okay.
Yeah, they're perfectly fine. They saw me and they ran over, and then I brought them back in the garage and they were eating and drinking again. But it's been complete chaos here. So I have my kids right now cleaning up duck poop all over the house.
It was their fault.
Yeah, it was their fault. So it's been a little bit wild. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And did you do our patron shout outs?
I did.
You did? See, I'm completely off base right here.
He's out of it.
All right, everybody. Let's gear up and get out to explore Locations Unknown. In this week's episode, we'll be reviewing updates to cases we have covered in the past. So join us this week, and we will see how our theories held up as the details of these cases unfold. All right, so the first case update we're going to look at is Gerren Kirk, which was episode 55. And the location of this case for Gerren was Mount Hood National Forest. It's roughly the size of Glacier National Park. It's located in Oregon. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay, Oregon. It comprises over 1 million acres. So, like we said, roughly the size of Glacier National Park. Quick character profile, just for refresh. His name was Gerren Kirk.
Did you say when we did this episode?
Oh, I did not. This is February 25th of this year.
Yes.
Okay, I did leave that out. That was my bad.
Yeah.
I am still so flustered. I just saw numbers and dashes, and I did not even attribute that as a date.
I know. I just turned the AC off in case you heard.
Yeah, we forgot to turn the AC off.
Humming in the background.
Yeah, we're very flustered. So, this past February 25th, episode 55, Gerren Kirk. The age of Gerren was 31. He went missing on December 3rd of 2014. No remains were found. He was a male. At the time of the disappearance, he was 31, as we said. He was 6'1", 180 pounds. He had blonde hair and blue eyes. And Kirk was married, so here's a couple things about his personality. He was married for several years, but he and his wife were divorced. They shared joint custody of a 5-year-old daughter. According to friends and family, he was well-liked and showed no signs of any type of mental illness or distress. His occupation and hobbies, he grew up in Milwaukee, Oregon. And I remember this episode because it's not spelt like the Milwaukee we live in.
No, it's got an I instead of an E.
But if I do recall, we looked it up, and it was named after our Milwaukee, kind of.
I don't remember.
I think that I think we read that, and I speculated as if it was real or not. We weren't entirely sure.
We don't know.
Yeah, so he lived in Arizona for a number of years, where he worked as an admissions officer at the University of Phoenix. He moved back to Oregon to study business at the Portland Community College. His experience in the wilderness, he was an experienced outdoorsman. He often took solo trips into the woods, so he was no stranger to hiking by himself in the woods. Family and friends mentioned that it was very unusual for him to head out on a trip and not tell anyone his plan, however. So his experience in the location where he went missing, he grew up in that area and went on several camping trips a year. Friends and family statements about the individual, again, they just really focused on how he knew the area, he was well experienced. So the original case summary on December 3rd in 2014 was a Wednesday. It was the last time he was seen by his family was the day before on December 2nd. Gerren left home to hike in the Mount Hood National Forest with plans to return on December 6th, which was Saturday. So that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 days.
Yeah.
Law enforcement believes that Gerren arrived at Frog Lake Snow Park sometime between noon and 1 p.m. Family members said the 31-year-old Gerren Kirk didn't leave word about exactly where he planned to camp when he left on the 3rd. On December 7th, which was Sunday, Kirk's sister files a missing persons report. December 8th, the official search and rescue for Kirk didn't start until Monday because they didn't have a start point to commence the search. So because no one knew where he was, they didn't know where to start. So it was a late start, which is never good.
Yeah.
December 16th was the Tuesday. The next week, after more than a week of combing through the southern flank of Mount Hood, Wasco County Sheriff Sergeant Scott Williams said that the search for a missing Milwaukee man has been completely called off. So I'll play the clip.
So yeah, this is
right
the fun
now.
part. We're going to play the clips from our original theories, and then we'll tell you what happened.
All right.
So just give us a second here.
Oh, it's not letting me play it right from there. My bad. This will take literally... There we go.
Number one theory is probably hypothermia and exposure due to him going out in bad weather in December in the Mount Hood area. What do you think?
I would agree with that. Honestly, I think he succumbed to the elements. My theory, just kind of even I refined it while you were talking. I feel like it's one of those things where maybe he set up camp, went to go. I just think about what I do when I go out hiking. I set up camp, get that squared away, and then I'm going to go get all the things I need to survive in that space. So I might have to trek out to get some water or fill up some pots or things like that. My guess is he probably had all the right gear, probably knew what he was doing. My guess is he went along that trail. So when I look at the trail, I'll pop it back up on the screen. If you're going to go at a terrible time of year, I'm just trying to think of me. I'm going to do a hike or an area that is a little bit easier to do. It's cold. I'm not in it to hike and look at everything that's going on. When I'm going down a trail in winter, it's like I want to get to where I'm going. It's still beautiful, but like in summer, I want to go long distances. I want to see lots of things, maybe get away from people. I feel like here you could park your car, hike along the trail, and what you're seeing here are more service roads. The trails are these smaller lines. Yeah. Those are like the hiking trails. There's a campground that's like right here. And the one thing I noticed is like, look at this. Look at that view of Mount Hood.
Yeah.
So if I go down an angle, like I would love to set up camp in the middle of winter, see that, just beautiful. Like that'd be awesome. I'm not going to hike tons of miles. So what if he sets up camp? There's no one out there because it's a terrible time of year to camp.
Yeah.
He goes to either get water or something and just can't find his way back.
Yeah, but now my question is, you'd think you'd find his tent.
That hit me kind of after I said it. If you didn't say it, I was going to, they'd find his stuff.
Unless, maybe he was carrying it all and he's like, I'm going to go find a spot.
Yeah.
And got turned
I don't
around.
know.
I don't know.
Okay. Nope. That blew it up.
And one thing we didn't know is what they found in his car. That didn't come up in any of the research, which would have been
if
interesting.
there was gear in there that he left
Did
behind.
he leave his backpack in his car? It doesn't
Yeah.
sound like he did because I feel like they would have mentioned that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, that was our original theories on kind of what happened to Gerren. And now Joe's going to go through. So we don't actually have a ton of information yet on what happened to him because this update was from June 2nd of this month. So,
Okay, so the update from June 2nd.
This was
month.
from a family member posted this on Facebook.
Okay. So the day we've all been waiting for, confirmation of Gerren's passing. About 4 years ago, lost hikers happened upon his wallet in a ravine about 1 mile from where we thought he went missing and what looked like human remains. They brought a driver's license to local police, and it was Gerren's. Fast forward, my DNA was collected to be processed with these bones, and today I received the call from the sheriff's office that it was a match. This closure brings a myriad of emotions, but most of all, peace, knowing all the signs we felt were him all along.
So this out of the 4 cases, this is the one with the least amount of current new information, just because it's so recent. But yeah, so he was found in a ravine only about a mile from where he originally was kind of reported missing from. So that just shows you, a massive search can happen, and depending on where, if it sounds like he might have fallen.
Yeah, that's what as soon as I was reading it, because full disclosure, I didn't read any of these, so I haven't seen any of these updates.
Yeah.
That's immediately what I thought is in the bad weather, if he was out hiking, walking around, had a mistake, and maybe he was injured for a bit, but if there's no one there that knows where you are or what you're doing, and if he was incapacitated and couldn't get out, unfortunately, he probably passed. It's good to always hear that the family is kind of at peace. Yeah, they got the closure they need. So that's good.
One interesting thing is just you can see how some of these things move very slowly. So he went missing in 2014. His wallet was found they said, what do they say, 4 years ago?
Yeah, about 4 years ago, lost hikers happened upon his wallet in a ravine. So it was hikers that were also lost.
Yeah. And it took 4 years basically to, and I want to make sure.
Do the DNA?
Yeah. While you're talking, I want to just make sure the post was from June of this year, not like June.
Okay. I want to touch on that real quick because I just thought of it. Lost hikers happened upon the wallet in a ravine.
Yeah.
That means they went to the same area he went. So there's something there that's basically pulling these people in for whatever reason. Maybe it's the views. Maybe it's something like that. The fact that they went to the same spot, but they were lost also.
Yeah.
So what I would really love to hear why they went there and what caused them to get lost.
And it was June of this year.
It was June of this year.
Yeah, I confirmed it. So it took 4 years to basically confirm the DNA analysis.
Oh, we got a big audience now. What are we at? 32,000 we got this month?
Something like that.
Something like that?
Yeah.
So if you know about this case or are one of those hikers, please reach out to us. Call the number because I would be very interested as to what got you there.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same thing that got here and there.
Yeah, so moving on to our second case update. So Erika Lloyd, this was episode 32. We recorded this on December 5th of 2020. Just to kind of briefly recap what happened, the location was Joshua Tree National Park. It was in a region, in the area of Riverside in San Bernardino County, California. It's the southern portion of California. The subject's name was Erika Lloyd. She was a female, age 37. She was 5'4", 125 pounds, dark brown hair, blue eyes. She was last seen in possibly clothing for camping, but no one really knows. Personality. So we went into this pretty in depth. She, by June of 2020, the pandemic lockdowns had taken its toll on Erika. The accumulated stress of 2020, unemployment, homeschooling her son, protests, and violence in the streets took its toll, according to Rebecca Malone, who stopped over to see Erika on June 10th of 2020. She goes on to say that something seemed off, so it was like, this is a wellness check, recalls Malone. We sat with a glass of wine, commiserating, like, wow, these are crazy times. When Malone phoned her 4 days later, Lloyd said she needed a mental health break, and she said, I'm going to be fine. And that was the last time Malone had spoken to her. Medical issues, everybody said that she seemed healthy. We don't know. There could have been something going on with her that we don't know of. She was the former owner of her own hair salon, but it was shut down due to the coronavirus. And so she had one son named Chase. So quick summary of what happened to her. June 14th, 2020, while at home in Walnut Creek, Erika told her roommate she was planning to meet some people in Joshua Tree National Park. This would be the last time her roommates would see her, according to the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. June 15th, Erika's parents, Ruth and Wayne, last heard from her when she texted her son saying, "Mummy's sorry for scaring you. I'll be back soon." June 16th now, 2020, which is a Tuesday, California Highway Patrol finds Erika's car abandoned near Highway 62 near 29 Palms. The car's windshield was shattered, and according to Bailey's Auto Repair and Towing, a destroyed radio and deployed airbag was found inside. However, there was no sign of blood and no indication of foul play. I have an update on why that happened to her car. So it gets interesting. June 17th, 2020, which is a Wednesday, Erika was reported missing by her family after they had lost contact with her for 2 days. June 24th, 2020, large search and rescue operation was already underway at this point, according to the Marengo Basin Sheriff's Station. Search teams were operating assets on the ground and in the air. So now July through September 2020, which this was an estimated date range, the Lloyd family enlists conservationist and cave researcher Doug Billings to continue the search after the formal search and rescue mission concluded. So that's a very high-level kind of case summary. If you want to hear this case in much more detail, go back and listen to, episode 32. Now, Joe is going to play a clip of the theories we had on this one.
All right. Roll tape.
Roll tape. She was abducted. She's by herself, injured, around, people doing drugs and other crimes. Like, I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that she could have been abducted.
Yeah. And, if I'm going to play devil's advocate on my own theory,
yeah,
I'm hinging a lot on the corroborated statement of a guy who claims to have seen her based on her tattoos. And it's my theory 100% hinges on that guy being accurate, that's actually her and not somebody else. So that is probably not a big enough of a controllable statement, like where you can be 100% positive to really go down that road fully.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in this one, what are the official theories? Do they have like officially stated theories from the authorities or the search teams?
So, the authorities keep saying that they don't think foul play was involved in.
Okay. Yeah. You did mention that.
Either of those cases. They really didn't give a specific cause of death. They're probably just assuming, exposure, got lost, fell in the mine shaft, whatever. Like I said, the family and other people online seem to think that maybe there's more going on here than what people are saying, that potentially foul play was involved, or she injured her head bad enough in that car crash that she, had memory loss and maybe confusion that led her to, maybe that led her to wander off into the wilderness where she succumbed to, So, it sounds like I was kind of going towards she got injured in her car and then wandered off into the desert where she then perished. So we got an update on this one actually January 31st of 2021. So I'm going to kind of go through what's happened. So Erika Lloyd, who had been missing since taking a road trip to Joshua Tree National Park back in June, has been found dead, according to her brother in a Facebook post. Colin Lloyd said that human remains were discovered by hikers on January 31st, 2021, near Danby and Amboy Roads in Wonder Valley, California, in San Bernardino County, and that they have been identified as his sister. This is about 8 miles along the roadways from where her car was found. And he goes on to say if she'd walked northwest across the desert instead of following the roads, the distance to where she was found is about 6 miles. So the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department Special Investigative Unit has notified the family that they are no longer handling Erika's case at this time. After reviewing the extensive investigation done on Erika's disappearance, they have not found any indication of foul play. But we don't know. They never mention what her actual cause of death was. But thus, Erika's case will be turned back over to the Marengo, however you say that, Basin Station investigation for any remaining follow-up and information. Although her remains were located, deputies continued to investigate what happened to her vehicle.
Morongo.
There you go.
All right, we got it. Officials said in December of 2020, detectives were able to determine Lloyd's vehicle was taken from the original location where she went missing. This threw off the search and rescue operations locating Lloyd. The detectives worked to obtain warrants and identify the subjects.
Suspects.
Oh, suspects. Sorry. On June 6th of 2021, nearly a year to the day when Lloyd's family last heard from her, detectives identified who stole her vehicle. On June 8th, 2 suspects were arrested at their residence in 29 Palms. One suspect, identified as a 34-year-old woman, faces charges in grand theft auto and possession of stolen property. Her bail was originally set at $1 million. However, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Detective confirmed on Tuesday that she had been released. The second suspect was identified as a 28-year-old male who faces charges of vehicle theft and being a felon in possession of a firearm. He was also originally held on $75,000 before being released. So we hinged a lot of our theories around her car being damaged and that factoring in somehow to her disappearance. But as it turns out, she had already left her car and 2 people stole it and then crashed it.
Okay.
And they've been arrested and charged with the crime of stealing her car. We still don't understand. We still don't know what led to her death. The police have ruled it no foul play. So they obviously have more information than was released.
Yeah, I it's like with that gone, it almost makes it more simple. If she already was kind of in a altered mental set of state. She wasn't in a good spot. If she was hiking through the desert, she probably just succumbed to the elements.
I think that would be my updated theory is she either planned on this happening or because of the turmoil of COVID and losing her business.
Sure, like I'm just going to walk off and go until I cannot go any farther.
Or she went out and succumbed to the elements. She wasn't planning to do that, and then it took them only about half a year to find her remains, so pretty quick in some of these cases.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, again, we're just happy that the family gets closure. So,
yeah, I think it narrows it down to more of it's. I guess I like thinking of the silver linings in all these. She wasn't like abducted, or she didn't suffer in that regard.
Yeah,
because she was already suffering mentally. Yep. Yeah, like it would add insult to injury if it's part of that suffering was she's abducted by 2 people and they're assaulting her or things like that. So,
all right. So, moving on, we're going to read a quick. I'm probably going to cut this out now because it sounds awkward. Maybe I won't. But this week's sponsor of the episode is Magic Mind. As many of you know, I recently was blessed with my first child. Along with the joy of having a baby came the many nights of sleep deprivation. Anyone who's had kids will know what I'm talking about. Your life now revolves around the baby. All of my other obligations in life didn't change, and now I'm trying to get through the day on half the sleep. I've tried all the different energy drinks and supplements, but nothing seems to help. That's where our friends at Magic Mind came to the rescue. With all the other flashy energy drinks and even coffee sometimes give me the jitters and mess with my sleep cycle, which is on life support these days. One serving of Magic Mind in the morning gives me that boost I've been looking for without any of the downsides from drinking a gallon of coffee every day. How does Magic Mind do this? Well, Magic Mind is the world's first productivity shot that boosts energy, memory, and mood, increases focus, and helps to lower stress and inflammation. And if that isn't enough, one serving of Magic Mind is loaded with vitamin C to help support immune health. Magic Mind is made from the highest quality ingredients, including the incredibly beneficial nootropics lion's mane and cordyceps mushrooms. While some energy drinks pull stunts to raise awareness, like having a guy jump out of a high-altitude balloon, Magic Mind is actually trying to do good in the world. Magic Mind is committed to a carbon-neutral production process through contributions to reforestation programs in Northern California and the Amazon rainforest. Magic Mind also contributes 5 cents of every bottle sold to mental health charities that services and assists impoverished and homeless communities within the U.S. Can any of the other hourly energy drinks say that? If you're ready to try a product that has helped me through some stressful and sleepless nights, Magic Mind is offering an exclusive deal to Locations Unknown listeners. Right now, with the discount code Unknown20 at checkout, you can get 20% off your first one-time purchase. But I think you'll like this product so much, they're offering 40% off on your first subscription. Just use the same discount code Unknown20 at checkout, but hurry. The discount codes are only good for 10 days. To take advantage of these offers, visit magicmind.co/unknown. That is magicmind.co/unknown. If you're going to go through the day tired and groggy, do what I did and give Magic Mind a try.
So I was
Joe was holding it up.
I was holding it up, and I was also making you drink it. No, for whoever's watching, I actually slammed one of these in the middle because I realized I'm like, oh, we have these products literally right here, and I'm all flustered. So I slammed one of these. So you'll start seeing real time changes in my mood and my ability to do this show and not freak out.
Yes.
No, it tastes great. It actually was really refreshing.
Yeah, I've been taking them for a while, and I definitely feel that it's helping. I'm not lying when I say that I'm getting half the sleep, but still have the same obligations in life.
Yeah,
and I'm one of those people that can drink like Starbucks coffee right before bed and sleep. Still
I don't know
fall
how
asleep.
you can do that. That's ridiculous.
But coffee just doesn't work anymore, and that other stuff makes me jittery. So
yeah.
All right. Well, moving on to our next case.
Yeah, I'll give an update at the end of how I'm feeling. I'll be honest, because I know you use it. I haven't really used it, so I'm the Athletic Greens guy. That's what we said in the one thing. Like, we actually use this stuff.
Yes,
and that's why we've gotten other offers from sponsors. We only take stuff that we actually use and like. So
yeah.
All right. Case update number 3. Bobby Bizup. This was a case we did. This is our 3rd episode ever.
Yes, way back in the day.
Yeah, way back in the day. We're going to go in the Wayback Machine. What show is that, the Wayback Machine?
I have no
That was
clue.
a kid's show, I think, from when we were kids. It's January 17th of 2019. So the 3rd episode, we are still young guns.
Young guns.
In this game, getting like 5 downloads a week maybe.
Yeah.
And thinking like, this is a fun hobby. This is just fun.
It was brutal.
Yeah, I couldn't even get my mom to listen to this show at that point, I think.
So sad.
It's so sad. So the location of this episode was Camp St. Milo at Estes Park, right on the eastern border of Rocky Mountain National Park. And this is in Colorado.
We talked to, this was Dave Haskin.
Correct.
The search and rescue guy. We talked to him.
Yep, because I think episode 4 is his full interview.
Yeah.
And it's cool. You can still go to the church that this camp was based off. It's a beautiful area.
Yes.
So the name of the profile that we were covering was Bobby Bizup. He was a young male. At the time of his disappearance, he was 10 years old. So remains were found in a ravine, heavy underbrush just below the timberline in Mount Meeker. This is behind the camp up a mountain.
Yeah.
The ravine and the area surrounding it had all been a part of the original search. So how did it get there, and why wasn't it found during the original search? This was the things that we were really trying to cover back when we were doing this.
Yeah.
Now, Bobby did have a few medical issues. He was hard of hearing, and he didn't speak much. He was deaf, but he did wear hearing aids, so he was able to hear, but it wasn't that well.
Yes. And did we say when he went missing? I don't think I have it here, but it was in like 1958.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I do love because we copied the notes from here. We put occupation, hobby, child.
Yeah.
Experience in the wilderness, child. None.
We weren't too refined back in episode 3.
Oh no, I love those days, going back to the OG stuff.
Yeah.
So the summary of the case: the St. Malo Retreat, also known as Chapel on the Rock, was built in 1936 on land donated by Mr. and Mrs. Oscar Malo. The concept of the Chapel on the Rock was founded by Monsignor Joseph Bossetti in 1916 when he came across a very large rock formation just east of the Rocky Mountain National Park. He was inspired by the biblical phrase, "Upon this rock I will build my church," and the church was donated to the Archdiocese of Denver. And so, as we said before, the southeast border of the park. At that time, the facility was used as a boys' camp, led by priests and seminarians. I almost said Sumerians. Seminarians. Bobby Bizup, the only son of Master Sergeant Joseph Bizup, attended the camp. Bobby was mostly deaf, didn't speak clearly, so he mostly kept to himself, but he definitely loved fishing. On August 15th, 1958, Bobby was fishing down by Cabin Creek while attending the summer camp at the Malo Retreat. It was a warm summer month. At 6 p.m. that night, a camp counselor approached Bobby and informed him that it was time for dinner. The two of them were said to have been walking down the hill back towards camp. The counselor noted that Bobby was just behind him. At some point along the path, he turned around to see Bobby's progress, and he was missing. The trail was a straight shot from where Bobby was fishing to the camp, which is what really puzzled the SAR officials. Within 4 days, starting on the 19th, the search for Bobby went on for the next 9 days with an estimated 400 volunteers from the National Park Service, local sheriff's department, and SAR people, searching over 16 square miles. The search also included the airmen from Denver's Lowry Air Force Base. Bloodhounds also searched the woods, and skin divers searched the heavier ponds. The search extended up Mount Meeker to about 11,000 feet and 4 miles in each direction. There was no sign of him, only his bait box about a mile from the creek where he was last seen by his counselor. The Civil Air Patrol dropped over 5,000 leaflets over a 200 square mile radius. The leaflets said, "Mother and father love you. We need you. Mother is sick. She needs you at home. We love you."
I think at the time when we did this episode, we talked about how they would never do that today just because of the pollution concerns of dropping thousands of leaflets over 200 square miles.
I remember reading, I think it was because he was hard of hearing was one of the main reasons they did it, because they were worried they couldn't hear if they're calling out to him. But still, it's an odd. I remember us commenting on the message being a little odd.
Yeah.
Like coaxing him back because mom's sick.
Yeah.
On August 25th, the search officially ended. Now we're going to fast forward to June 6, 1959. 3 camp counselors from the St. Malo's Retreat, including one of them who helped lead the original search for Bobby, came across part of a hearing aid, scraps of clothing, and some bones 2,000 feet up from the retreat, all later confirmed to be Bobby's remains. They were found in a ravine's heavy underbrush just below the timberline on Mount Meeker in a space along Cabin Creek. So now we're going to go to the clip of our theories during that time. Roll tape.
You know, I think ruling out all of the usual suspects for...
I just have to pause. I'm so glad our sound quality is better than it was back then. It sounds like we're in tin cans.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Hey, that's the early podcast. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
What happens to a missing person, I think what doesn't jive for me is you only have one camp counselor that was with him. The search and rescue didn't really start until several days later, after he was missing. So if the counselor is the prime suspect and abducted this kid, he had the time to hide the body or hide the kid or whatever happened to the kid. Maybe down the road, the counselor himself put his remains high enough up on the mountain, assuming no one's going to find it.
Yeah, and do you have... So I'm totally on the Mike train right now. Like, I'm not getting off. Like,
I'm on board.
We are. It's like the it's Elon Musk's Hyperloop.
Yeah,
you can't get off because I'm loving this theory right now. So I think there's 2 paths this theory takes. One, he abducted the kid, kept him alive.
Yep.
for a period of time. And that's how, and either let him out or the kid got out at some point in Estes Park where people saw him.
Yes.
And then at some point before camp came back in session, he either killed him before then and disposed of the body, or, well, at some point he would have had to kill him, or he died.
Yeah.
And he disposed of the body up the mountain somewhere where it wouldn't be easy to find.
Yeah.
But
and in an area that was already...
I would love to know if the same guy who went to go get him for dinner was also leading the hike where they discovered the body.
Yeah, see,
so he led him to the area where the remains were found.
I don't know the details on that.
It'd be hard to find a piece of clothing and a hearing aid.
It did say one of the counselors who led the original search was the one who found the bones. Maybe the logic in the counselor that we allegedly say did this now.
I guess we should say allegedly.
Allegedly.
Because there's probably people still alive, and if he's still there...
Yeah, who knows?
Come after us.
But we don't know his name. Yeah. So we don't. We never found out any of the counselors' names.
I kind of want to spend some time and figure this out now.
Yeah, right. But, maybe logically he's thinking, all right, I need to dispose of these remains. I'm going to pick somewhere higher up on the mountain that was already searched, assuming they already searched this. They're not going to come back and look again, so I'm safe dumping this stuff here.
Yeah.
It wasn't on a trail. It sounds like they were just free hiking up the mountain and found this stuff.
Yeah, which makes it even less reasonable that they just stumbled across such a small object and thick.
My only question is, what happened to Bobby from the moment the counselor reported him missing to when the search started? So what, if the counselor is...
that's what's crazy. So
what did he do with Bobby?
The other track is he killed Bobby.
Yeah.
He's a mess up guy. He kills Bobby there.
Yeah.
And all the sightings in town are more like red herrings.
Yeah.
Where people know about the story and they maybe saw a kid with a hearing impairment.
Yep.
And it's just a 10-year-old. And they're like, oh, that looked like Bobby.
Yeah.
Just because it's almost like I don't know exactly what they say, but they talk about witness statements and how terrible witness statements are and crimes and things, especially when you think something.
Yeah.
And I've seen shows where they'll test people like, all right, go in this room and remember as much as you can.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff happen. And then they have them recreate it and they're just off. They're terrible. Every now and then you get somebody's good, but no one's ever right. So that's why they talk about witness statements as being awful. So it's a matter of, did they hit the jackpot and happen to see a 10-year-old boy with a hearing impairment, which I don't think would be too common. And he never really was alive that long. He's been dead. The camp counselor killed him, hid the body.
All right.
Joe was pretty fired up with that.
I was. You got me excited. We got on the mic train. I remember getting on the mic train.
Yeah, and I'll let Joe get into what happened, but we got an update on this May of 2021. And basically Joe and I both thought that one of the counselors abducted him and killed him.
Yeah, it seemed highly suspect.
We don't have actual proof of that happening, but as Joe gets into the details that have been released, a lot of these counselors went on to be accused of abusing boys throughout the rest of their lives. So it would make sense that that's what happened, but I'll let Joe get into it.
All right. So the update was May of 2021. More than 60 years after a deaf boy died after vanishing from a Catholic summer camp, federal investigators have obtained a stunning piece of physical evidence, a skull that is believed to be Bobby's. 9 News out of Colorado also recently revealed that 3 of the counselors at the camp went on to sexually abuse children as priests, and that other witnesses and documents raised other questions about the sequence of events when Bobby went missing. Park Service and FBI agents launched a wide-ranging investigation. DNA testing is underway to confirm that the skull is Bobby's. It was turned over to federal authorities earlier this year by a Denver area man, Dr. Tom Mikulski. He told 9 News that it had originally been in the possession of his father, Dr. Joseph Mikulski, a prominent member of the Catholic Church and a close friend of the priest who was running Camp St. Malo when the boy vanished. Joseph Mikulski died in 1980, and Tom Mikulski said he took possession of it a couple of years later. Tom Mikulski said that the only thing his father ever told him was that it may be the skull of a boy who disappeared from the camp. He said he could not remember his dad's exact words. Over the years, he said he tried several times to identify the boy and find news stories about the disappearance. Then, in late December, he saw the 9 News documentary, Mystery on Mount Meeker, and realized the skull was likely Bobby's. He contacted federal authorities and turned over the skull, which had been stored in a paper sack in his basement. The counselor, who admittedly was among the last to see Bobby, and the one who found the bone and clothing on Mount Meeker, was Neil Hewitt. At the time he was in the seminary, after being ordained in 1962, he molested at least 9 boys in 4 different Colorado parishes before leaving the priesthood in 1980 and getting married. Hewitt has repeatedly denied to 9 News that he had anything to do with Bobby's death. 2 other seminarians serving as counselors, Harold Robert White and Gerald Ripola, also went on to be clergy child sex abusers. White was the worst of the worst with at least 70 known victims. In addition, 9 News found that the story of Bobby's disappearance didn't mesh with the eyewitness accounts. Both Hewitt and Richard Heister, the nephew and namesake of the camp director, saw Bobby just before he disappeared, and both described him as being upset before running off. At the same time, the National Park Service documents obtained by 9 wants...
it's 9 News.
9 News to show that Hewitt discovered the bone and piece of clothing on July 3rd, 1959. However, Father Hester didn't report it to the Park Service until 3 days later on July 6th. No one knows who found the skull or when, but it is presumed to have been discovered sometime after the other remains were located and buried at Fort Logan. Larry Collins, a seasonal Park Service employee involved in the initial search for the remains, says Bobby's skull was never located. A Park Service report obtained by 9 News details many other bones that were found, but does not mention the skull. The camp director's nephew told 9 News that federal investigators told him they believed his uncle was in possession of the skull and gave it to his friend Dr. Joseph Mikulski. Father Hester, like many other there when Bobby vanished, is no longer alive, but his nephew is troubled that he apparently didn't notify the authorities or the boy's family. Mark Haas, the spokesman for the Archdiocese of Denver, said the organization is cooperating with investigators. This tragic situation occurred over 60 years ago, and no one currently working for the Archdiocese has any direct knowledge of it, other than newspaper clippings from 1958 and 1959, he said. We have provided a National Park Service agent with all the newspaper clips from our archives for their review and offered to help in their investigation in any way that we can. The question now is whether investigators can determine exactly what happened and whether Bobby was the victim of foul play.
So
I think it was probably child molestation.
And they killed him.
Yeah,
I mean, we were kind of zoning in on that in the original episode. And I think if we would have had this additional information at that time, I think it's clear cut, especially the eyewitness statement that he seemed scared and running away.
Yeah.
And then just the fact that, I mean, most of the counselors that were around Bobby at the time of his disappearance went on to commit heinous crimes of child abuse.
Yeah, it could have been like their first one.
I mean, we don't know they did it, but a lot of the dots are connected.
They're not alive anymore. I'll accuse them. I think they did. You have a disabled boy that doesn't talk.
Yeah.
A very victim like that. That's somebody that you'd probably want to prey on.
Yeah,
because you have the least likelihood of getting in trouble.
It's truly a sad story, especially
it's very disturbing,
especially as a new father now that kind of stuff happens.
It hits you different.
You just got to hope that Bobby, whatever happened to him, it wasn't, it was quick.
Yeah,
and I feel terrible. But
I remember from that case, he was already not living the best life because he was picked on, he was teased a lot. So then you add that to it, it's just absolutely terrible and awful.
Terrible, but I'm glad the case has been reopened and is being investigated by the FBI and the Park Service,
and that they outed all those guys.
Yeah, and
100%.
we know their names now, and
yes.
Real pieces of human trash that could do stuff like that, and we'll keep following this case to see if anyone ever gets charged or if they determine the cause of death or anything. So we'll keep you updated. So
what's good is it sounds like all the people now that were involved are very open to helping and realizing that either their organization or their family or whoever did have some sort of wrong play, and they're trying to make amends by being as helpful as possible. So I hope that continues, and we'll update if we hear anything else.
Yeah. So, okay, moving on to our fourth and final case, Paul Miller. This is going even further back, episode 2. We recorded this on 12/16 of 2018. This was, we also talked to the PIO of Joshua Tree, which at the time we were, it was pretty exciting because, it was our second episode and we got the director of the park basically to talk to us.
Yep.
So this happened again, another Joshua Tree National Park case. Paul Miller, male, 51. And I just want to make sure it was Joshua Tree, right?
Yes, because it was 29 Palms. It's
Kinda-
like the same area that Erika Lloyd's.
Okay. I was like, did I just
29
copy
Palms or 19 Palms?
29.
29
I was like,
Palms.
did I just copy accidentally the same? But
No, it's literally the same area, and
Yeah.
and I remember when we did that. I'm like, didn't we do a case like that? I felt the
Yeah.
same way when we did the episode.
So, like we said, Paul Miller, male. He was from Guelph, Ontario, Canada. Probably said that wrong.
Guelph, Ontario, Canada. We can get Canadian names wrong.
Yeah. Sorry, Canada. He was age 51. His wife was Stephanie. She was a kindergarten teacher in the Waterloo region. Paul was a materials manager at a water treatment filtration company. They had 2 children, both graduates of the public high school in their area, and one was named Dryden, age 21, and the other was Tiana, age 19. He was 5'5", 160 pounds. His hair color was salt and pepper. That sounds like a fun hair color to have, salt and pepper.
Mine's turning into that. I have black hair and it's starting to gray out here because all my kids.
Probably grayed a little more today with loose ducks in your house.
It did gray a little bit more when there's duck poop all over my house.
His eyes were brown. His clothing, he was last seen in, he was wearing dark shorts, dark gray, almost black, high-tech altitude hiking boots, black hat, and he was carrying sunglasses, a Camelback, hydration pack, and a Nikon D5300 camera. So let's see here. His experience in the wilderness, he had hiked across Canada, North America, and Mexico. At the time, we would say he seemed like he had pretty good experience, in nature. He's done these kinds of hikes before.
Well, and he did. I don't remember correctly if it was this trail,
The
day before.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. So him and his wife hiked this the day before. So we know he at least was in this area once before. So real quick case summary. July 13th of 2018, Paul and his wife were preparing to leave the hotel room when Paul wanted to do one more short hike to try and get a photo of a bighorn sheep. Around 9 a.m., Paul left the hotel room and drove his car to the 49 Palms Oasis trailhead. Not 29.
Okay.
Yeah, but close enough.
Same area.
Something with palms. 11 a.m., Stephanie said she started to become concerned when he did not return, but decided to wait another hour. 12 p.m., when Paul had still not returned, Stephanie contacted the Park Service to report Paul missing. 12:30 p.m., the Park Service had put together a team and started the search. They quickly found Paul's rental car at the trailhead. Fast forwarding now to September 2018, park officials closed the trail for a few days while a helicopter crew flew over with new photo software. The camera takes high-res photos and automatically analyzes them for anomalies. We went into this pretty in depth in this episode. Pretty cool technology. Basically, they take thousands and thousands of pictures of the landscape, and they send all those pictures through a computer, and then it analyzes for things that basically aren't nature. And then it flags those, and humans actually take a look at those pictures. So pretty cool stuff. Finally, just to recap the search effort for him, since July 13th, park staff have coordinated an extensive search, including teams doing technical, ground, helicopter, canine, and tracking searches. To date, the searches included 20 canine units and over 600 searchers, putting in more than 6,000 hours to find Miller. The heat has hindered efforts and forced rescuers to at times start at 4 a.m., and by 9 a.m., they are returning to the command post exhausted. So pretty tough conditions to search in and hike. So now Joe is going to play our theories.
All right, rolling clip.
We'll jump into our theories, really. So we kind of talked about animals. I think exposure is extremely relevant.
Yeah.
He disappeared around noon in the desert. 105, 110 degrees is not uncommon, dry heat. So I'd say exposure for sure.
Yeah, with exposure, anybody that's hiked in desert climates, dehydration does cause people to not think clearly. I mean, there's a chance that he got dehydrated wandered off the trail, maybe walked for several miles just out into the desert. Somehow he walked
like
into
some sort of delirious haze. Which, yeah. I mean, that's actually a very good point, because you hear about the people that think they see water or things like that in desert. Granted, he was going towards an oasis, but again, you have a situation where maybe you're just unaware of what's really going on. So he's normally a hiker, but you can kind of get caught in those situations where you're not really sure, and then maybe it was just one of those times he was in the desert the day before.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of sun exposure the day before. Maybe he brought out enough water, but wasn't really attuned to the symptoms that he was having. He's traveling a lot. So if you get out and get delirious, did he go off trail and then think he was on the trail and just kept walking? And
so you kind of touched on, I'll get into what happened to him, but you kind of touched on in your theory there way back in the day, that he got lost by walking the wrong way. And sure enough, as I get into what happened, I think you were pretty accurate.
Well,
so we got an update on Paul Miller's case, December of 2019. The National Park Service and San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department are investigating the discovery of human remains found in a remote and rocky portion of Joshua Tree National Park, according to park staff. Dental records would go on to confirm that the human remains found inside the park were Paul's. On December 21st, Joshua Tree National Park authorities reported that on December 19th, human remains had been found near the trail. The discovery came through photographs from a drone flyover of the area in November. So pretty cool. One of the drones actually found the remains.
Yep.
On December 20th, park law enforcement rangers hiked to the area where they found skeletal remains determined to be human and personal belongings. There was no personal identification found with the remains, which appeared to have been there for some time. Officials said, adding there was no indications of foul play. Speculation is that whatever happened that caused his death happened quickly, she said, possibly a heart attack or heat stroke. He was found in a shaded area and still had water and food, she said. It appeared he had made the hike to 49 Palms Oasis and was coming back out the wrong way. Early in the search for Miller, teams had gotten close enough to where his remains were found that he would have heard and responded when they called out his names, and his wife believes this kind of adds comfort knowing that he didn't suffer too long. So his remains were found very close to the search area. Mm-hmm. That just shows you they had, what did I say, 600 people out there searching for him?
Yeah.
20 canine units.
Mm-hmm. I remember when we got the information on this one. I think that's kind of what we came down to, is like they came very close to him and he had food and water.
Yeah.
So that's, I speculated it was heart attack at that point.
I think,
something like that, because.
And he was going the wrong way. So
yes.
If he would have gone back out the way he came and had the heart attack, they would have found his body.
Yeah, they would have found it right away.
But
it sounds like they would have found his body. Like it wasn't like he got lost and then died of exhaustion because he had stuff there to get through. So
yeah, so it's just really interesting when this is our first time we've done an update episode, and two of them now, the remains were found incredibly close to where the search was operating. Mm-hmm. That just shows you how incredibly difficult these searchers have in trying to find these people. And all the times we say that like the first 24, 48 hours are the most vital, stay put, try to survive as long as you can, because a lot of times they're close. They're really close.
I look at that shaded area thing as if he started getting chest pain, having heart attack symptoms, and like sometimes it's not like a painful, scary thing. It can just be something like you get tired and exhausted.
Yeah.
He probably went and sat down in a shaded area to relax, thinking, okay, I'm overexerting myself. I'll just sit down.
Didn't realize he was having a heart attack.
Yeah, and then just succumb to it.
Yeah.
But again, I like the sentiment from his family. They think it was probably quick and painless, which it stinks, but it is way better than suffering in the desert.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy to find out that he didn't like fall down into a ravine and be injured and then bled out or whatever would happen, or an animal attack or anything like that. A heart attack out in the wilderness, probably there's no good way to go.
Yeah,
but, he was in the shade, probably thought he was just tired. It sucks for him and his family, but I'm glad they have closure And,
and we got kind of close to the family. We talked to the sister a lot via email.
Yeah.
They really were appreciative that we actually did the episode. I know early days we were very nervous about
yeah,
because it was such a new case. I remember we were very nervous, like, hey, is this something we should do? Overwhelming support from the family because what we didn't even think of at the time, but I remember they said was, after the initial shock story goes out, people start forgetting about it.
Oh, yeah, there's so many of them.
Nothing's worse for the family than thinking that your loved one's been forgotten.
Yeah.
So they expressed gratitude that we are reigniting this fire and getting people interested in the case again and getting people interested and saying nice things about him and telling his story. So I remember we reached out. I think we reached out to the sister after the update was found, and they just said kind of what we expect people say is they're glad they have the closure.
Yeah.
Family was coming down, and they were going to do a service and everything. So
yeah. So
I think heart attack.
Yeah, I think the fact they found him under shade
With food and water left.
Yeah,
I think that's the key point there is he had supplies.
Yeah. So, well, this was an interesting episode. We a little rattled because of the loose ducks in Joe's house. So if this sounds a little weirder than our normal episodes, it's we don't normally do.
It's the ducks' fault.
Yeah, it's the ducks' fault. We don't do episodes like this normally.
No, I liked it. I think it was good. I think it was a good one.
Hopefully we have more cases where they find remains and can close them because it's good for the families to get closure.
Yeah, and if you have comments, anything, you can either write us, call the number 208-391-6913. That is our phone number. Leave a message. And
you can text it too. Someone sent a text the other day.
Oh, I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have to. Do we have like a bunch of voicemails like on cue there? We got to. We have to do the Wisconsin accents one. So that'll be coming up soon. Maybe this Thursday when we record, we'll do a Patreon and we'll do that one.
Yeah,
that would be fun. Okay, well, thanks again for tuning into our show. We appreciate you all for being loyal listeners to Locations Unknown and sharing it with your friends and family. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also on YouTube, you can subscribe to our show to get the video content, as well as be a paid subscriber, which is very similar to our Patreon account. So those are two ways you can support us financially. Sign up for Patreon, where you'll have access to extra episodes, and also on the subscription for YouTube to have extra access to those same episodes. If you would like to support us monetarily in other ways, you can visit our Facebook store and buy some cool swag, or you can go to our website and also buy that same cool swag. And just remember, when enjoying the beauty of nature, whether walking, backpacking, or camping, always remember to leave no trace. Thanks, and we will see you all next time.